Thank you for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King. Tonight we have a very interesting show. We're going to talk about second chances. This is April 2024, and this is Second Chance Month. So the president tells us, and so we're excited to talk about that. You know, my purpose is to educate you about the criminal justice system through people's stories. And we have a great guest in here tonight, Jerome Barber, who tells me that he has gone to prison 5 different times, and now he acts as a recovery coach. I have my trusted co-host, Danny Sneed, here tonight, who wants to also advocate for second chances. So, Danny, I'm going to change the format a little bit and let you start. But don't take too long, because we got Jerome over here.
That was a perfect segue. Okay. So, again, welcome. And again, Vivian, thank you for creating a platform and space for second chance people like myself. And I want to first highlight that one of the second chances I got when I came out of prison was Vivian King hired me as her legal assistant with a long criminal history record. And not only did she hire me as a legal assistant, she gave me the type of credentials that allowed me to go into the jails through the same path that a lawyer would go through. I bypassed all the
red tape
and stuff, and you got to imagine how empowering it was for her to entrust that assignment to me. But what I want to talk about Second Chance Month, even though Vivian has been recognizing second chances for a decade, President Biden last year in March signed a proclamation, March 29th, to make April Second Chance Month. Why? Because 1 in 3 Americans, adults, has a criminal record and is limited to access to education and job and housing once they re-enter to society. So what the proclamation is supposed to do is make a nation stop and start having a conversation around, is it important people have second chances? Why should people get a second chance? And what organizations are creating second chances for people here in Harris County? One of them we know, and I want to give credit to, is not all city has a reentry program, but Harris County does.
Yes.
Some people may not know it, but veterans are recognized with a healthcare for reentry veterans program. Brought the little flyer, and it talks about outreach to veterans that are incarcerated in state and federal facilities. Did you know, Vivian, that they have people hired to go in prisons, assemble all the veterans that may be there, target them to prepare them for reentry, to sign them up and give them resources to get their DD-214,
Yes.
and to start signing up for health care.
Now tell the audience what a DD-214 is,
So a
and how you use it.
DD-214 is like a high school diploma or a transcript when you get out of high school. This transcript is going to show your grades from the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. A DD-214 is going to cover the day I joined the military and how long I was in there, but most important, the character of my discharge. Was it honorable, general,
Or less than honorable.
less than honorable, or the one that you don't want, a dishonorable discharge? Which even though those, so say if it's the lowest, a dishonorable discharge, depending on the circumstances, you may have that challenge and upgrade it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I work in Veteran Services Day. What we're seeing now that the VA has lowered their standards how they treat veterans with dishonorable discharge. It was you couldn't get any services, but they started loosening up those restrictions where they're still letting them get some services, but not all services. But again, April this month, along with a lot of other things on the month I see that they celebrate, we want to talk about second chances. I've been out since 2008, and what I did with my second chance was really probably my third chance, is I didn't return back to active using. So someone said, well, what did you do, or what do you point at the most effective thing you did to not go back to jail or prison? I got clean and sober. because the underlying reason why I was going to prison was substance abuse. And so once I resolved that, it didn't fix everything, but it kept me from going back into the criminal justice system.
Right.
So my criminal activity stopped when I stopped using, and I started living like, I won't say normal people do, but returning citizens do.
Yes.
Citizens pay bills, pay taxes, some, not all, vote. And I remember after 26 years of being on parole, and I'm going to pass the baton, one of the most cherished things I was able to do, Tuesday I came out parole for the last time after 26 years. I was long on paper. That Sunday at church, they were registering people to vote in the lobby. I was able to register to vote a few days after completing my parole. And the first president election I was able to vote in is when Barack ran.
Right.
Yeah,
Barack
that's all right.
Obama.
And I acted, I had my Go Live on. I was going live everywhere. And when I got ready to go vote in the parking lot, I was so ecstatic until I went in there and they said, "Sir, you can't have your phone on in here."
He wanted to record the whole thing.
I was going, and you know what? And I had been sleeping on the opportunity all those years to do that. I had never voted before.
And how old were you? About
Well,
8 years ago.
well,
7, yeah.
I don't like.
I don't think you will tell his age.
Oh, he don't want to tell his age? Okay. Well, I mean, you were a very mature man. Let's put that.
No, you know what? I'm gonna take that back. I just turned 60 January 3rd of this year.
Okay.
So I should be glad that I lived this long.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You should be.
All right. So I digress. Again, thank you, Vivian, for allowing me to highlight and create the continued conversation around this whole month around second chances.
All right, so now we'll get to our guest, Jerome Barber. So, hey, Jerome, tell us about you. So, if you watch the show, you know our format is we talk about how we were raised.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of my informal survey of trying to figure out when do people generally get started in a life of crime or drug abuse that leads to crime. So, tell me about your upbringing.
Okay, first and foremost, let me congratulate Brother Danny, Brother Danny, for tremendous, reintegration and growth and development. You represent us well. But as far as where I was raised in Los Angeles.
Okay.
But I was back and forth from Los Angeles to Houston. Very, very funny. The first 11 years I was in L.A., came here for 4 months, finished the 6th grade. Went back to L.A., came back here, finished the 9th grade. And I've been here ever since. I went to Wheatley High School.
Okay.
I was a music guy, played in the band, drum major, trumpet player, jazz man, After Wheatley, I went to the military, angry with my parents.
Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you, brother, for yours. I was angry, and going to the military was not my choice. That was not something I actually wanted to do. I had 17 scholarships coming out of Wheatley High School for trumpet. But I needed to do something to get back at my parents. For my upbringing, I didn't feel that, I felt unsupported at that time. So
is it because they didn't want you to major in music, or they didn't want you to be a part of music? I mean, what do you think it was?
No, it's because I had a very troubled childhood where I was shifted, from my mom to grandmother, absent father.
I see. So was your grandmother here?
I was in Los Angeles. My grandmother raised me in Los Angeles. And then
your mother was in Houston?
She moved here. My grandmother moved here.
I see.
My mother, being the youngest, followed her mama,
I see.
And so we came here, and I love Houston. And my grandmother's husband, the guy she married, was a preacher.
I see.
Who actually became like a father that I never really had. Taught me a whole lot of stuff, but I still had this anger on the inside about.
So you're angry about moving,
resentment.
or angry about living with different people?
Yeah,
or?
Poor, didn't really have stuff,
But you had love. That wasn't enough for you at that time.
Well, Ms. Vivian,
in hindsight, we always appreciate it more later.
Something about not just my family, it's not unique to my family, but we don't express love in the household. I come from one of those houses where
Okay.
you're expected to assume that mama loves you because she gets the food, the clothes, but to sit you down and say, I love you, that was not something that was a normal practice in my household. My mother being a single mom, I saw a lot of emotional stuff, you know, and I internalized a lot of that stuff. And as a kid, you want to be reassured. I didn't get that reassurance, but I learned later that they knew that I was okay. My mom just assumed I was okay because I had older brothers that were in and out of trouble, but I was not in trouble. And I assumed that I needed to do something to get her attention.
I see.
So the first thing I did was join the Army, you know, because they were happy about the scholarships. Then when they was happy about me being in the Army, I quit the Army.
Okay.
You see? So everything.
How long did you do Army?
I was less than a year. I got a training discharge, which was uncharacterized. It's not,
Okay.
it's not dishonorable. But even in that short span, I learned a lot of stuff about warfare, about being a man. Even though I wasn't quite ready, I learned a lot of stuff, you know. And my dream was to actually be a professional trumpet player. So I came back to Houston, and I had a scholarship in Prairie View. I went and I asked them, did they remember me? Of course they did. So I attended Prairie View, and I marched in the band.
Okay.
And still felt unsupported, but music was my love. So I did it until I developed a drug habit. You know, we experiment with drugs in college.
When did you start your drug
This was
experimentation?
1985.
So you were in college or out
Yes,
of college?
I was in college.
So you didn't do it in high school or
No,
middle school?
never.
Okay.
Never.
Okay.
And I experimented with drugs.
On
and-
campus?
On campus, yes.
What about in the military?
No, never. No.
Okay.
And so once I did it, I said, wow, so this is it?
So you experimented with marijuana first or cocaine?
Marijuana, alcohol, then cocaine.
Okay.
And then
So that was the 80s. So that's the
was the 80s.
powder, and then it went to the freebasing.
Yes. Well, no.
A
For
crack.
me, crack.
Oh, just crack. It
I'm
went
not
straight
going
to
to put
crack.
no dressed up name on it. It was
straight to
crack.
crack.
Yes.
Yeah, by 85 in Texas, it was crack cocaine.
It was crack
Yes.
then. Okay.
Yes. Oh, I have to make a correction too. I used to be a recovery coach. Now I'm a licensed chemical dependency counselor.
Okay. Licensed chemical.
yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Licensed.
that's big time.
I'm full-fledged.
Chemical
Yeah, that's big time.
dependency
I'm
coach.
full-fledged. Yes.
Coach. All right. That's what we use the acronyms LCDC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that comes with the numbers behind it and the letters behind it. Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, I thought I was gonna be a musician. You know, Danny, I had all these dreams, but I'm fulfilled now in what I do. You know, I do prison ministry. You know, I work with adolescents at a wonderful
All
organization.
right. Now you jumping too
Yes.
far. I want
Okay,
you to go
come on,
back to
baby.
bring
Run
me
it.
back. Bring me
Run
back.
it.
Bring me back. We're in the 80s.
We're
Bring
in
me
the 80s.
back.
All
Bring
right,
me
we're in
back.
the 80s.
Let's talk about the 80s.
All right, we're in the 80s. So I'm on campus, and this is my experimentation with cocaine. I'm on campus. Me and my roommate are walking across campus after band rehearsal, and we see two strange-looking fellas walking across campus, and we say, hey, who are these guys? They turn around and say, hey, yo. I'm like, yo, that was some weird, you know, that was a weird greeting in the South. Come to find out, they're New Yorkers, and they were doing a HBCU tour, and they were a jazz combo that was accompanying a dance theater. Like, okay, so we met them. We said, man, where y'all staying? Well, we're staying in your dorm. So we walked back with them, went to our dorms. One of the guys played trumpet. So, of course, me being a trumpet player, there was a relationship there. My roommate played sax, so he wasn't interested. He left. So me and this guy were talking, and he wanted to hear my development on trumpet. So I started playing. He said, hey, man, you ready? Well, you want to be a teacher? I said, no. He said, you ready to go to New York? I go, oh, okay, really? You know, I'm already from Los Angeles. I'm already away from there, right? So now here's this guy telling me to leave Houston and go to New York. I'm like, okay, I thought about it. But a blizzard happened. This is where I started experimenting with the cocaine with him.
So he brought out the lines? Or
Yeah,
what?
brought the lines out, and here I am, the big shot. Oh, yeah, I've done that. I had never done it, you know, so I did it. And I stayed in that room, Miss Vivian, Danny, 2 days.
You stayed in the room 2 days?
I
Did
went
it-
to
did
one
the guy-
class.
Did the guy ever leave?
No, they didn't leave. We stayed. They were going to perform Friday. This was Wednesday.
Well, he had a lot of dope with him.
What? Say, man. They.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
statute of limitations. Yeah, he did.
Oh, the statute of limitations is way past. In Texas, it's only 3 years. Though.
Right, so that was 85.
Only 3 years, baby.
So we
For drugs.
I was, as we used to say, I was stuck. So I went to one class, Miss Vivian, that was trumpet recital. And he had a sound check that same day. So I went and I was doing my recital and I took a deep breath to play my trumpet and nothing came out. Nothing. And he was sitting in the office, he was laughing, but I had never experienced that. So the pianist went around again and I had to just strain with all I had just to make it through that. And I'm beating with the sweat and I'm like, oh man. But that didn't deter me. After that, I went right back to the room and we kept on until they had to perform, and then they left Saturday morning.
But he can still, because he was used to doing the cocaine.
Yeah, he was used to doing
He can
that.
still blow with it.
He was used to doing that, yes.
So he had the energy to do it.
Right. And so after this, they went to Texas Southern. He went back to New York. I had all of his information and was actually going to try to go there that Christmas. But a blizzard stopped me. Blizzard and money, So he and I, our relationship was just, telephone. And he would always have these little kids in the background. Hey, stop. Hey, y'all making noise. Boys, go sit down. Well, years later, I found out that this was Nas, the rapper. This was his daddy, this guy. His name was Olu Dara. And he became a mentor of mine, just by distance. And he would tell me, hey, man, you ready? Go on out there. But I didn't feel ready at that time. And then when I left Prairie View, shortly after that, the powder turned into crack. And the crack led to robberies, thefts.
In Houston or in Prairie View?
In Houston.
Okay.
Never stole nothing in Prairie View. Wasn't nothing to steal.
Yeah, right. It's a desert out there. I mean, it's just, I know, I mean, it's just.
Still a cow.
What you going to get?
Come on, man. So I ended up in Houston, and, I would sit around the family, right? The family, I'm like on, Adam's family, Marilyn.
Yeah.
She was the only one that wasn't a monster.
Yeah, right.
So I got these brothers, and they'll see this, and I hope they, take this the right way. But they were robbers. They were jackals.
Now, these are robber brothers' friends or brothers?
These were my brothers,
Okay.
actually. And they would rob. They would rob and go to jail, get out. And that was like the talk of the house. And I'm like invisible. So I said, man, I got to do
Did your mother or grandmother hear this?
My mother heard it, yes. She had her own troubles when we were younger, so.
Like with drugs or just things?
All that, drugs, crime, but
Okay.
I can say today she was the best mother I could have asked for, despite that, So I had to get her attention some kind of way. Maybe if I do what they did, I get some attention. And so that's what I did. That's how I jumped off the porch, Brother Danny.
So did you first do your first robbery by yourself or with them?
By myself.
So how'd you know what to do?
I don't know. It was kind of, Miss Vivian, my daddy was a robber.
Oh, your daddy was a robber.
He was a robber.
Was he your daddy a Houston guy or Los Angeles?
My daddy was a Dallas guy, actually. He met my mother in Los Angeles.
You make it sound like it's in your DNA.
No, it's not.
It's not. Now, don't claim that one.
I would not. I'll break DNA down. And when you break DNA down, it says God sent her. That's what DNA means, God sent her. So no, I won't attribute that to my DNA. But that's what they did. I said, well, let me be like my big brothers and give me some attention. Because the good things I was doing was not bringing me the attention that I thought I should have gotten. Not knowing that my mom was so proud of me. My family was very proud of me. I just never heard it.
Right.
They loved me. My brothers were even shocked when I started getting in trouble. They were shocked. So, and it was too late.
How many brothers did you have?
It was 6 of us originally. One of my brothers passed back in 70, and that left 4 boys and 1 girl. My sister never moved to Houston. When we came to Houston, she stayed in L.A. And so it was us 4 here, and my 2 older brothers, in and out. And it was just me and my younger brother. And so, my little brother looked up to me. He tried to copy me with band and dancer. I was a dancer too. And even when I went into the crime, he tried to follow and did follow, actually. He actually went to prison. But my little brother got out and stayed out 17 years until he passed away. Unfortunately, passed away in 2019, 10 days before I was released this last time.
I know that was painful because you didn't get to go to his funeral.
I actually did, Ms. Vivian.
Oh, you did?
Yes, and I delivered the
But they held
eulogy.
it up? They held the funeral?
No, they actually brought me from the prison because I had 10 days before I made parole. Actually, I made parole April the 10th of 2019. So this is my 5th year anniversary today.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So 10 days prior to my release, they had my brother's funeral, and I was there. They allowed me to come.
Wow. Did you have to go back?
Yes, for 10 days.
Where were you? Where were you?
I was in East Ham, the unit that I was at today. I went back and spent the day with those brothers there.
How far is East Ham from here?
Roughly 120 miles.
Which way is it? Where is
It's
it? Back?
northeast.
Northeast, okay. All right, so you started robbing too. So was it like strong arm robbery, like Danny, or was it
Hey.
John?
Danny strong arm robber.
Why is he doing?
That's
No,
correlation.
Look, I never was really a robber.
Yes, you were.
I thought I was, but to me it was like acting.
Okay.
Yeah, but you was scaring the hell out of somebody.
We was
Well, that's why they made me realize that even though in your mind, Danny, it's not that serious, the detective said, Danny, these are the top three. Robbery, murder, and rape are the most dangerous things that we try to keep people
right from doing.
from like we treat this more serious than any other crime.
Exactly.
And I was like, I'm sorry. There was not enough.
Anyway,
I didn't use weapons though, Miss Vivian.
so y'all the same. Strong arm robbery.
Mine was more deceptive. You know,
Okay, so if you was robbing me, what would you do?
I wasn't gonna rob you.
You gonna talk?
I didn't rob. I robbed a person one time, and when I did it, it was my last time.
Okay. So
Too
the first
personal.
time. So the first time, what was you robbing drug dealers? I mean.
No. Jewelry stores.
Okay, so you go in and actually.
I'm gonna grab the jewelry.
Oh, you grab. You're
And
a
I'm gonna hit-
grab and run
and I'm
type
gonna
of robber.
I'm gonna hit the case with the hammer. I'm gonna do all that.
Okay, so you're gonna run in, bam, and just take it out. Okay.
Say, Miss Vivian, what a statute of limitations gone. Yes.
It's all gone,
Yes.
baby.
Yes,
You did
gone.
your time too.
Sure did. Thank you, Lord.
So you did your time
So
for
yes,
it. You can talk about
And
it.
actually, Miss Vivian, I'm not gonna sit here and portray I was no big shot robber. I was an opportunistic drug addict.
I see.
That's what I was. I need to get my next hit. You know about that, Danny. I need a hit, man. So hey, they got the jury over there. Let me get it. I know who gonna buy it. That was it. You know, and I was always broke 2-3 days later. So it was nothing glamorous about it. You know.
So would you get caught the first time or second time you get caught or what? I'm surprised you didn't get shot robbing somebody at a jewelry store.
I'm surprised too, Miss Vivian, but I'm glad it didn't happen. Ooh, I'm glad. The first time I actually did get caught, Miss Vivian, first time I ever did it, I got caught.
Okay.
The driver that I had was he was scary. He worked at the post office. He said, I got a real green guy to go with me. And I said, hey man, I'm coming right out. So when I run out, he's under the hood. He was so nervous, he up under the hood. So, you know, I'm not finna stop at this man's car, you know.
And implicate him.
I ain't gonna do that. I ran right by the man's car. And he looked and seen all them folks chasing me, and I ran and threw jewelry all in the ditch and ran around the corner, and they caught me. Even the guys at Goodyear
Helping them chase you.
helped them chase me.
Oh, yeah, they're supposed to help the chaser. You stealing people's property.
And one of my neighbors, you're right, and one of my neighbors saw it.
So he identified you.
No, they caught me right then. But the neighbors, I ran by them. They were like, man, look at Jerome go. I didn't know he could run like that. So they
My Lord.
were like, wow. So the people caught me and brought me back. Now, you're a lawyer. Now, check this out, Miss Vivian. Wasn't no cameras on.
Right.
I didn't know that. So I went to jail. They gave me a PR bond.
This is in 1985?
This was 86. It was 86. Gave me a PR bond. I got out for $20. You remember them?
And I didn't even have the $20 when they let me out. I told them I'd bring it back to them.
I ain't either. They gave me, somebody else paid that 20. So I got out and I ran, Miss Vivian.
You ran?
Yeah, I ran.
Where'd you go?
I went to Dallas and hid out. Pew! Got married.
Oh, who'd you know in Dallas?
My father's side of the family.
Okay, so you did know them. Okay.
So I ran to Dallas. And after I stayed, I guess about 6 months, came back to Houston. I guess the coast was clear. A letter came to my mother's house, said that the case was expunged.
No, it didn't say
Or it wasn't expunged. It was a word that
No bill.
was synonymous with. It was synonymous with you ain't in trouble no more. In my mind, me being ignorant of the law at that
that.
time.
You were definitely worried. It definitely didn't say expunged.
It didn't say
It said-
expunged, but
no.
it was a word that gives you the impression that
You were an absconder.
you good. But it didn't say that.
It didn't say abscond.
No, because it wasn't an ugly word like that.
Absconder.
It was very trickerish. It was trickerish. It was a word that I read it. I've been to Prairie View. You know, I said, oh, okay, I'm
So what
good.
did you think it meant?
it meant I'm good.
You were bond forfeiture.
What they
You
were
had bond
saying,
forfeiture.
that's what they were saying, Ms.
You had
Vivian.
bond forfeiture.
That's what they
Yeah.
were saying.
Yeah, they
Your
wanted-
bond is over with.
Right,
not
right. Your bond
case.
forfeited. Yeah, you had bond
Right.
forfeited because they couldn't find you.
But now you understand, Daddy can feel this. We're addicts. So we need an opportunity to feel good enough to get back out there and get us some more dope, right?
This
So
was
Right.
a get out of jail free.
ain't no doubt. So I'm back in Houston now. So I'm running free.
Where's the wife that you married in Dallas?
I left her in Dallas. I said, hey, baby, let me go get it ready, and I'll come back and get you. So I'm in Houston, and I'm in this crack house and that crack house, and I'll go in one of them. When I'm up on my way up the stairs, the police is flagging me down. Hey, yeah, come on, man, come on in. I get up that whole hood on the floor. Everybody.
So you walked right into a
They
dope.
just tell you just join them on the floor.
Well, he ran into.
No.
They'd already raided the place.
Right,
He
they
ran
already
into a
raided.
raid.
So when I went
He ran into
upstairs
a
to go
raid.
scope,
He ran into a raid.
I don't see the police decal on his
Right.
patch on
right.
his.
He ran into a raid.
All I see is a black arm saying, hey, come on, man, hurry up, man. So when I get upstairs, man, grab me, throw me on the floor. I see the whole hood. Everybody bust out laughing, right? Everybody we all there. All the smokers, we on
All
the
the
ground.
smokers are on the ground. On your way to the.
So
to
they
the jail.
ran everybody, you know.
And here you go with that. He had bond forfeited. He had bond forfeited. So they said he was wanted. He was a fugitive.
They done ran everybody, Daddy. So when they asked me what my name was,
You give your brother's name.
you better stop. How you know that? So I gave my brother's name.
How long have I been doing this? How long did I tell you I've been
So
doing this?
predictable.
Wow.
Yeah,
Throw
I've been
the
doing
brother up under the bus.
32 years. This is my 32nd year. I know what you did.
Now,
I don't know why
watch
you
this.
get your brothers.
Well, he did it. He did it because he was a fugitive.
Watch this.
So he didn't want him to know.
Here go the flip side right here.
What?
My brother's girlfriend
Was on the floor.
she ran and told my mother because she saw it. Ran across the street and got my mother. I'm gonna say, what? She run over there. My mama gonna come. Ooh, she coming.
She ain't scared.
What? He did it. No, he didn't. You know, knowing I did it, she still gonna say I didn't do it. Mama, they said, well, that's your son? Yeah, that's my son. He got asthma and is hot in that car. Hey, well, what's his name?
Jerome.
Oh.
Nuh-uh. She gave another name.
She gave a third name.
Oh Lord. The whole family.
Everybody's
is on
lying.
the-
Everybody's lying.
So this what the police say.
So,
He don't know his name.
You
you don't know his
He
name.
was Obama,
So we're gonna take him
it
down the
south.
fingerprint and
we'll
we're gonna
go
find
fingerprint.
out his name.
So
since
when
y'all
the
don't know.
fingerprint, they say, oh man, this is just Jay Barber. This is a fugitive. Got me, man. So,
Whose name did your
you
mama
got a
give? Did you
good
hear?
mama, man.
Did you hear? Did you hear? You don't know what name she gave.
I
Huh?
know it was different than the one I gave. so they gave me
Everybody
probation.
gave a wrong name.
Gave me probation. I did 1 day on probation. I went and met the guy. That was it.
And never.
Never reported back.
No.
The word is absconded.
Yes.
You absconded again.
Catch me when you can.
Catch me when you can.
Wow.
Yes.
Wrong. Who
I
taught
was
y'all to be that? He was a
running.
good boy and he did all that.
His
I was
Brother.
running. No.
No, it was him.
I'm gonna tell you something. My brothers never ever influenced me to do nothing. I was the good kid, the good grades, all that. No, they never.
Till you got on dope.
The drugs. Yes, my mother didn't encourage me to do nothing wrong. No, nobody in my family. I was a good guy. I was even a youth minister.
My Lord.
Good guy. So now I done violated the probation.
So did you? So then what happened?
Oh man, they come to me with one of them sweet deals. You already know how they do, Miss Vivian. You're a
You know,
lawyer.
I know.
We'll give you 3 years.
TDC.
Yes, ma'am.
And you'll be out in.
You will do 35 days per year. And that was good for some people because they was doing that.
back then.
Not for me. They kept me 15 months.
Okay.
You know, guys with 10 years were getting out in 10 months. But
Oh
I,
yeah, they were mad at you for
Absconding the first time.
Absconding. They were mad at you for the absconding.
I did that. And, you know, I said, okay. They sent me to, I got out of Jester 1, the old Jester 1. Got out from there. This was 89 when I was released. I stayed out from March of 89 until January of 90 when I picked up a burglary and a robbery. Got 30 years and a 10-year sentence.
Boy, they let
And that was a
you
jury.
No, that was a fake.
30
it was a
years?
fake robbery. It was a
30,
dope
30 years plus what?
and a 10-year sentence.
years, wow.
It was actually a dope fiend robbery. It was a fake like you got a gun robbery. You know, dope fiend got no gun. If I had one, it'd been in a pawn shop. So, give me the money. Laid
So
in
it's
there.
just your hand and your
That's it. And
Was it a trap house?
no, it was a Walgreens actually,
So you tried to rob the Walgreens, but with your hand.
with my hand.
Okay. So how'd you get 2 cases out of that?
That was one's a burglary, one's that case, the robbery by threat.
Okay.
So I actually did 3.5 years.
So you did 3.5 years for that one.
Yes.
Man, that'll give you a lot of time for to see that's why they say the significance of a robbery, even though nobody gets harmed, ain't no weapon involved. 30 years.
Oh yeah.
30 years.
I'm trying to hurt.
So
you.
they gave you 30 years, but you only did 3.5.
I did 3.5. Back then, you know, it was 35 days a year. Right.
So you got to experience at that time.
A little bit, yeah. Well, they messed up and sent me to one of them old rockin' prisons. Sent me to Cofield where it was going on. They was fighting and stabbing and all that other stuff. So I felt like, oh man, I'm tough now, you know. So there was no fear.
And that was in 1990.
Yes, I got out in '93. So there was no fear of messing up. You know what I'm saying? They sent me to the wrong.
You come out a certified convict
come out
now.
a crook, a real crook now, you know, and no treatment. There was no treatment for the substance, none at all. At this point, ain't no treatment happened. So I get out '93. I stayed out 93 days. And what's so ironic about that is, while I was in there, every 3 months I would get in trouble and go close custody. I go back and forth. Every 3 months I had to get in trouble. So one of the guys told me, he said, man, I'm gonna start calling you 90 days. He was just joking. But that actually stuck. I had another friend say, hey man, leave me that radio. Because I actually made parole. He said, man, leave me the radio so when you get back, we have the music, we can jam.
Damn.
I said, man, going on, man. You know, I'm thinking he's riding the broom. That's what we call it. So I stayed out 93 days, went back, ended up on Darrington. Walking down the hall, guess who I see? First man, him.
Who?
But now the same guy was in Leave Me the Radio. But now we were on Cofield. Now we on Darrington.
And he's in Darrington.
Man, I told you to leave the radio, man. We could be jamming right now. See, I told you. See, people can see stuff in you before you can see it in yourself. He knew I wasn't.
But
ready.
what did you do to go back in 93 days?
I was a dope fiend.
Oh, you love that dope.
No treatment. You know, I was sick, baby. Like 90% of the brothers there, sick. They're sick. There ain't no treatment going on. At that point, I don't know that I'm sick. I'm just thinking I can wheel myself away from the drug. This is what I'm thinking. No, ain't no wheel away. You need some help. You need some treatment. So I get out after that bid, go 90. I do on that violation from 93 days. I ended up doing 3 more years on a technical violation.
But what was the case when you went back in the
Technical?
93 days?
You said
Technical?
technical?
It was technical.
Not reporting, dirty.
Let me show you what happened. Here it is. Oh, I needed you, Miss Vivian. I have asthma. So they were giving us a asthma
You told
pump
me about that.
called
Yeah.
Alupent, right? So I'm taking Alupent and beclomethasone for my sinus. And I have all the intentions in the world to do right. I'm working at the Marriott over on Sage and Westheimer. I'm going to work. I'm going home. I'm going to the mosque. I'm praying. I'm doing all the right stuff. But every time I go to the parole office, I got a dirty UA.
But you weren't doing no dope.
No. And so I'm scratching my head. And I'm thinking it's the young lady that I'm staying with, her mother staying with us. And we had already agreed that her mama would be gone by the time I got out, you know. And she wasn't. So I said, maybe mama's spiking my coffee in the morning because she's knocking on the door. You ready for your coffee? Real nice and sweet. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. You so nice. And I'm drinking this coffee for her. So I'm attributing these dirty UAs to her. And wherever she, please forgive me, lady, because it wasn't you. So I ended up giving the dirty UA twice. I got to sign the paper, and I'm disputing it. I told the PO, I said, hey, let me bring you my medication, because this is all I'm putting in my body. The lady told me, you a lie, you on drugs, you using methamphetamine. Big old long word. Now this 93, I ain't never heard of methamphetamine
It wasn't popular back
in
then.
my life. So there was another parole officer, I'll never forget this guy, Mr. Waller. I saw him in passing in the office while she was giving me a copy of the, admission. And I said, Mr. Waller, can I talk to you for a minute? He said, yeah. I said, if I did a drug, what would it be? Oh, Mr. Barber gonna do some crack. That's what he told her. I said, you see, what do you say I'm using? Right. He's using methamphetamine now. I said, man, Mr. Wall, I don't even know what that is. So I ended up going back on that violation. And that's where I did the 3 years and a month.
On a violation.
Yes.
That's about right.
No treatment. Still no treatment now. Still no treatment. Just a whole bunch of free work, you know, and just regular, you know, prison life.
And that's time number 4.
Yes.
Okay, how we get to 5? What's
I
another-
am in the traveling choir. I'm on Ramsey unit now. We got a traveling choir where we come out to society. We go to schools and churches and we perform. And some of us would speak to the children, you know, about, you know, say no to drugs and crime, you know. Well, I met a nice lady during that stint. I got out. We got married. Whew, Lord have mercy. And there's, at that time, the TDC had a thing where they was trying to implement treatment. They're trying to implement it. So they would give us what's called a SASE screening test. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. So I would take that SASE, and each time my score was a 7 because it's a dynamic test. I mean, it's a static test, I'm sorry. It's a static test. If you answer these, it'll say, how old were you first used? That's never going to change. How often did you use? That'll never change. These were static answers. So every time I took that assessment, I would score a 7. So I got this parole officer now, and she says, I need you to go to this place and take this SASE screening test. I said, with all due respect, ma'am, I'm going to score a 7 on that. You don't know that? I said, okay, ma'am, I've taken it 3 times. I already know. They're going to say I need help. Okay, so if you want to send me somewhere, that's fine. You go over there and you take that else, I'm going to violate you. So I ended up getting violated again, not just, the SASE test is what actually violated me. But I got a misdemeanor assault that, you know, with this lady. It was actually a shouting match, but they violated me for the SASE. You know, sent me back.
So that was number
years.
5? Wow.
No, that was 4. I did 5 years for that trip. That's number 4 right there, Vivian.
They turned the heat up on
I
you.
did 5 years for that one.
Wow.
And I was very bitter because at that time I had not been using. It wasn't because I was using.
So that was a violation.
Right.
Boy, that is crazy.
So I was very angry.
You
still
should have
angry.
been angry,
I was
yeah.
angry. And I was released in 2001. I got out in 2001, August. And I had attended college this time. This time I had actually went to college. I went to Lee College. I got out, and I said, you know what, let me go ahead and go to school. I went to ACC. Started going to school, but because there was no treatment, here come the drugs again. Every time something happens and I'm triggered, it's usually anger. It was usually anger back then. I'm back using. So I end up with a 60-year sentence
God, dog.
after 2 years. But during that 2 years, you know, I was never out consecutively for 2 years. It was a jail trip here. It was an ISF trip here. It was every little jail trip.
Now, why would
everything.
you do 60 years? What did
For
you
the
do to get 60 years?
All right, here we go.
That's a lot of time.
Sit back.
All right,
Sit back and hold on.
Yes,
Hold on, buckle
Hold
up.
on for that one. Damn.
All right. This was a purse theft from a shopping basket
Okay.
that my buddy grabbed from the basket, jumped in the car, and I drove off. The lady recognized her purse was gone and dived at the car.
Oh, Lord.
Ooh.
They pulled us over. I'm in a white car. Now, this Dauphine now. I'm in a white Volvo at night. Who won't recognize a white Volvo at night?
Right. Stands out.
Yeah, so we get pulled over.
How hurt did she get?
Didn't hurt at all.
Don't matter.
She couldn't even, well, actually they lied, Danny, because that's not in the course of committing the crime. That the element in the course of committing theft, you do this, that, and the other to them, nothing was done. He never touched her.
Right.
He was already in the car. She tripped over her basket trying to get to the car. So he ended up copping out and taking 15 years. Me not saying that, hey, man, I didn't do nothing. No, I ended up with 60 years.
You went to court? You went to
I
trial?
went to trial. I had to.
What was they offering you?
50.
So you got
The lowest offer I ever heard was 50 years.
Wow.
So, hey, man, I'm going to roll the dice.
So how many years you have to do on that?
I did 16.
Wow.
Yes.
It was ag?
No, it's not.
It's not egg. Damn.
I'm going to tell you something. That's the best 60. That's the best 60-year sentence anybody ever got.
Damn, yeah.
Life change.
Say, man. See, Danny talking about second chances. I'm talking about 5. Not 2, not 3. What LeBron say? Not 2, not 3, not 5 chances.
What?
And that one right there, that was it, Miss Vivian. What God tell Moses? Hey, man, take your shoes off. This holy ground right here. That trip was holy. It was sacred for me.
What year did you go in?
That was 2003. I was released in 2019. That lady, so put your seatbelt on, Miss Vivian. You got to hear this.
I'm fixing to put my seatbelt on. Boo.
This lady's name, her first name, I'm going to reveal her whole name, was Siraj. That's an Arabic word that means lamp that contains divine light. That's what it means. So I've been doing these Ramadan fasts for years. I'm fluent in Arabic. I'm study reading. Every year I'm reading Siraj and Munir. But this particular year, it was 2007. I had been incarcerated 4 years. This particular year, that word just kept ringing in my ear. At that point, I no longer pursued my Fifth Circuit appeal. I said, man, you got that. God used this for you to get to the light, man. This it right here. Stop playing with them people. Stop and do what I say. And at that point, I became obedient. I became obedient. And you know what, man? I was happy. I was no longer in prison. I entered the penitentiary at that point. It ain't prison no more, Danny. See, it's prison when all you can think about is what you can't do because you're there. That's prison. I had grown out of that. I was in penitentiary. I was penitent. How do you be penitent? Well, you change your thinking. You change your behavior. And so that's what I did. They got yellow lines in the hallways in TDCJ. Danny know about these lines. And I would say to myself, man, you've been out here 5 times. Man, it's something terribly wrong with you. You don't follow instructions. Man, start with this yellow line right in this hallway. So while everybody else would cut that corner, I would follow that yellow line all the way to that gate. And I did it for years and years. And they would ask me, man, why do you do that? I say, because I'm retarded. I have to be. To keep getting out doing the same thing, thinking that it's going to be different. So I have to train myself to do the right thing.
Right here.
Yes.
Right here, right now.
Because I'm going to show you something.
Right here, right now.
You know, let's get molecular with this thing. See, what happens with the oak tree, it don't start out as an oak tree. It starts out as an acorn. But what's off in them cells, that's what dictates the oak tree. So what I am today, it was dictated in that cell I was in. All those different cells. I became that in those cells. So I ain't angry. I'm not resentful. I'm everything it took to get me where I am. I thank God for it. And if I could do it again, I would. But I don't think I got no more get back in me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't have another comeback in me. But I am grateful for what I've been through. I don't blame nobody for it. And so I spend my life now sharing, you know, my redemption, my change with people. And I tell them, if I can do it, you can.
So from 2007 on, you straightened out. I mean, you were being obedient. You were.
Let me say this, Ms.
You were
Vivian.
learning. You were on the proper journey.
I was always an obedient prisoner.
Okay.
I was always the model guy in prison. You know, smart guy.
We're going 3 years at some of your stints without drugs.
Yes.
How would you get back in it? The triggers. I guess it would be the triggers. Something stressful that you couldn't control, and that weakness was still there. I mean, because you would go some years without drugs.
Well, okay, if we're watching the Astros, we go to the Astros game, us 3. Before they throw that first pitch out, they going to play a song, right? Dun, 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 dun. They going to sing that. If we go see the Texans, same thing. It's called the national anthem. Dope Fiends got one too.
What's that?
When they get out.
Dope Fiends got a national anthem.
What's that? Tell me what that is.
F it.
Oh, yeah, that's that F it moment.
That's it.
That's that F it moment. Oh, I understand.
When you get angry
a lot of my clients
and frustrated, say F it, you singing the dope fiend national anthem, and then whatever goes. Whatever comes after that. When you say F it, you're really saying F you first.
And one of the most powerful things someone told me that, and it's totally specific, Danny, you're not an addict because you use drugs and you drink. You're an addict because the way you think.
Mm-hmm.
And when they told me that, I said, let me write that down. And I went back to my cell, and I had to read it and marinate it on it. You're not an addict because you smoke crack cocaine, Danny. It's the way you think. And that was so deep and profound to me. And it freed me from viewing myself as a dope fiend. Like, he said, I ain't a dope fiend.
There you go.
That it ain't, because I use drugs, that ain't my problem.
No.
So I could stop having this self-hate perception of a dope fiend. Because that's how I saw it. You just a dope fiend.
That's right.
But he said, remove that and look the way you think. He said, because before you actually use the drugs, something has already triggered you and you already have went into using mode. So you can use before you actually get to the drug. It comes in your attitude, your behavior,
Yes.
and what the people you're around. You start changing those things, you can end up back using. Because the brain's so smart, it never forgets. I wish it would, but it never forgets what it was to get high. Because when those dopamines release, it's such a unnatural amount that release. Nothing in natural life measures up to the amount of dopamines released when you take a hit of crack cocaine or methamphetamines. It's 1,000 more dopamines released compared to maybe the 100 to 200 released.
That means it's more happy drugs. I mean, your happiness.
Dopamine is
That's what makes you happy.
it's the feeling,
Pleasure.
the euphoria.
It's the euphoria. Because I've been told that one of the ways you have to quit is to realize you'll never be this happy again. You'll never have anything make you this happy. So you kind of have to accept that and accept the good life you have without that feeling.
Organically.
You're never going to get that feeling because you keep chasing that feeling, but you're never going to get that feeling again.
Not anything natural in life.
Right.
Nothing
But you have to
organic.
accept that.
Scientifically, say when you eat a good meal, that's a 50. You know, you'll get 50 nanograms of
Dopamines.
and that's cool, 50. The highest we should ever reach is 100.
And that comes from mostly sex.
Well, that makes sense.
We should reach, we should reach 100. Now, 100 should be a new promotion. You won the lotto. These are big things, like you said, sex. But when you get 1,000,
Oh, and that's what you get from
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
1,000. Oh,
yes,
wow.
that's
Yeah,
unnatural.
it changes your brain.
And so now, there you go. It
changes-
tricks your brain.
It changes your brain.
Your survival kit that's already there starts to think that it needs that flood in order to make it.
Right.
And so you would do whatever. You would create situations to where you can fail and say, F it, and go get you some drugs. So I agree. It's the mind. It's the disease of the mind, Danny.
So when you were curing yourself with your obedience to God, Allah, and you were trying to get it right, how did you transition? Because things, once you got out of prison, you still had things that made you angry, that upset you. How did you deal with those triggers then?
Not this time, Ms. Vivian. It was a complete metamorphosis. It was grateful for even being out. Because you know TDCJ and the parole law, it was 3G. It wasn't aggravated, but it was 3G. So I had no short-way discharge. I had no mandatory discharge. I had to either make parole or die, right? I mean, I came up for parole in 07, but I didn't make parole until 12 years later. And at that point, you know, a lot of people give up. They say, oh, I'm not gonna never get out. But something my mother told me in Harris County before she passed away. She looked at me and I was all teared up because, you know, she had cancer. She passed shortly after that. And she said, hey, stop crying. When you get through with this, you're going to be all right. I hadn't even been sentenced yet. So when she told me that, the 60 was nothing, Danny. It just triggered my anger to make me want to fight them back. But I could handle it because my mama said I would be all right. And so when I got out, oh my God, first place I went was to her grave just to look at her name. And I couldn't find her grave because there had been a flood or something here. and there was no
Washed
headstone.
away the headstones.
And I was livid. First, I thought I was going to the wrong spot, but I had been sent a picture, and the picture gave me a very good visual of where it was supposed to be. It was a very large tree, and I said, "That's the tree." And I'm looking at the picture, and so I got the guys that worked there, and I said, "My mom's grave should be right here." And they said, "Well," so they called over to the office. This was Paradise. They called the office, and they said, "Yeah, it's supposed to be plot such and such and such." They said, "Yep, it should be right here." And the lady said, "Well, there's a gray headstone there." They said, "No, it's not there." So I got my sister on the phone in LA at the same time. My sister's going off. And so, I'm the lesser of the two evils, angers right now. So I say, "Hey, let's fix this." So, because my sister's like on the Flintstones, she's going off. I'm like, "Hold up, baby, hold up." And so what they did was they replaced it. And so Mama's got a headstone like this tall now. And I go there I know that she's not there, but I just want to be by her name.
Sure, yeah.
And I touch her name because she told me, "Danny, you going to be all right." And I am. She saw something. And,
So how did that lead you to becoming a licensed chemical dependency coach?
because
we don't
I
have much
said
time.
I would never, ever, ever use again. And so I had to get the tools necessary to ensure that I never use again. So I became a recovery coach first, and then an LCDC afterwards. And
Do you work in that field today?
yes, I'm LCDC now for AMA, but I was previously at TDCJ as a counselor at Ramsey too.
Where you spent all those years?
Yes. Ironic, isn't it?
That is ironic. How many years did you do it at Ramsey?
No, I did back at Ramsey. I did 3.5, but I did total 28 years of my life. But imagine walking in the front door now. Hey man, it's nothing like it. To walk in and be called Mister. To walk in and be treated as an expert on something, when all I had been up to that point was an expert in how to mess up.
Wow.
So
So
that's
what's your current job?
I'm a drug counselor
Where though?
at AMA, AAMA.
Okay.
Not too far from here. I have clients from 12 to 25 years old.
Okay. Now, what does AMA stand for?
Association for the Advancement of Mexican Americans.
Okay. You say you have them from 12 years old to what?
25.
So you do
So
a
is that a
difference.
nonprofit?
Yes.
Okay.
Very popular. Been around 50 years.
What's the name of it again? I mean, what does it stand for?
The Association for the Advancement of Mexican Americans.
Okay. Go ahead and ask him, Danny.
You so you deal with substance abuse,
Yes.
right?
Co-occurring, cops D, co-occurring, a lot of them have co-occurring. But I'm a reentry monster, Danny. I promote the Community Reentry Network Program in the City of Houston. I promote that. Because when I got out, that's where I went, Ms. Vivian, first. I went there first. I went through that program and received a scholarship to be in the class where I met you.
Let me ask you something. What's the biggest barrier that people that get out of prison face, do you believe?
First of all, if they have a history of substance use, the biggest barrier is getting them to understand that must be dealt with. That must be dealt with first. But a lot of times we think that job and money, that's the one, because we've been deprived so long. So they think job and money. Once I get a good job and money, that will solve all my problems. No, it never worked. It never worked for me. If it never worked for you before, what would make you think it's going to work now? So it's the treatment of the disease. That's got to be the biggest. Next would be home.
But what about the coupling that with mental health treatment? Because what I can tell is a lot of people need mental health.
They
so
do.
Can the substance abuse be coupled with the mental health, or are they separate? Do you have to go through the substance abuse treatment first and then the mental health? Because I noticed from my 32 years now in this system is that people need mental health treatment. Like several years of it, actually. Someone to talk to help with those triggers, help with anger, help with things you can't control and how to deal with that, to manage it.
So the VA, with how they treated me, they said, before we can treat your mental health, we got to treat the substance abuse.
Okay, so it's first.
Because you can get the clarity. Because the chemicals we need to detox you from the chemicals in your body, and give you time to gain clarity, so we can give you information that you can dissect.
Right.
But until I deal with that substance abuse, remember, substance abuse is a cognitive disease.
Okay.
So you got to deal with this part, how I think them thinking patterns are all off.
Okay.
It's caused me to probably be a little bipolar. So they got to level me out to be able to say, now let's let you talk to a therapist or a psychiatrist, and then they're going to start dwelling in, not the now. Psychiatrists and therapists like to go back to your childhood, and they start asking those questions, and you start finding out, oh, this thing started long before I got to drugs.
All right,
and alcohol.
they're telling us we got 1 minute, so I need us to start wrapping this up. So, Danny, I know you want to talk about it, so I'm going to let you go last. But Mr. Barber, thank you for sharing your story. It's very interesting. Thank you for coming such a long way. What do you want your closing remarks to be?
I would like for anyone that has a history like mine and like Danny's to concentrate and focus on those barriers, those things that keep them in that cycle of incarceration and substance use.
Okay, and Danny, how do you want to end it?
Because I work with a faith-based support group called Path of Freedom Ministry out of St. John's downtown, we believe we love because he first loved us, and love means second chances.
For me, 5 chances.
5 second chances.
Yes.
5 second chances.
Yes.
So I think that we have concluded on a good note. I really appreciate you being a fan of the show and coming to tell your story.
Thank you. For
as with all of our shows, we put them on YouTube, so you'll be able to go back and look at it, hopefully find inspiration, knowledge, empowerment. And if you're working with someone that's in and out of prison because of substance abuse, robbery, and if drugs are the problem, we have learned tonight that the 2 things you need to do is you need to deal with your substance abuse issue, and then you need to deal with your mental health. What triggers you? Your anger, change your thinking patterns. Obviously, you need a home, you need family support. Sometimes you don't have family support, but you have to deal with have a home, and get those things straight first. And a good way also is to go to our church, St. John's United Methodist Church, where we help those who have any kind of problem, mental, substance abuse, whatever it is. We take in all strays and try to let them know that we love you and there's nothing you can do about it. Thank you for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King, and we'll see you on our next show. Good night.
Man, thank you. Oh, that was something.